This is the River Lee. It is the second largest river in London and the easternmost major tributary of the Thames. For more than 8 centuries, the river has served as an industrial powerhouse, being used to transport goods northbound out of London and supply the city with fresh drinking water. But by the end of the 1860s, boat traffic on the river had almost disappeared completely. Following years of neglect, disrepair and the bombing during World War II, the river had slipped between the cracks and was simply forgotten, leaving it polluted and inaccessible. Now, with the advancing climate crisis and in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, utilizing the potential of the River Lee has become ever more important. We are excited to produce this video, starting a conversation with local people and shining a light on their hard work, improving social and green spaces along the River Lee.
The Lee was one of the most industrialised rivers, so crap has been pumped into it for years. Clearing it up is a massive undertaking, and I can't imagine that the Lee Valley Regional Park Authority have the resources to do that.
I think some of the biggest challenges are sort of the historic infrastructures along the river. You've got some sort of unregulated outfalls. You've also got lots of plastic pollution that's coming up and down the river.
And the idea that emerges in 1944 as the Lee Valley as this kind of great regional reservation that you can see was very much industry, but also a landscape that connects the River Thames right out to the edge of London's greenbelt. So the whole idea of the Lee Valley, something that isn't just industry.
Thanks to multiple factors, London's centre has slowly been shifting eastwards. With Canary Wharf, the Royal Docks and London City Airport surrounding the Lower Lee Valley, the river lays in a major opportunity area, which was recognised in the 2016 London Plan. Local developments include 3 mills, the Olympic Park in Stratford and London City Island. Undergoing so much change, the area has become disconnected from its history and local community.
I think the most memorable sort of loss is really the loss of the sort of intimacy of the area. There's a great feeling that this was something like a secret place. Footpaths, when I first went there, were largely overgrown. I actually had to carry secateurs in my camera bag. The whole area would have been developed anyway. The way that it's been done has not really benefited the people who lived in the area at all.
Through the separation of the river and through the production of these complex watercourses, the marshland foundation, and then the arrival of kind of engineered landscapes with fences around them that make it incredibly hard to move around and incredibly hard to enter, has made the Lee Valley something that is really quite unique and doesn't have a constituency that really cares for it, because people haven't been invited here for a couple of 100 years. So you can see a sort of 2 millennia of political separation that run along the river. The river itself is of course a boundary, it's a physical boundary, but it's also a political boundary. It was for a long time the edge of London. Even before that, it was the boundary between Danelaw and Saxon England, all the way up the Lee Valley. It's a boundary between boroughs, which means that politically it's in everyone's backyard. You know, a long political history of it being the place where people go to do stuff that people don't want in the middle of their borough, like, for instance, abattoirs or glue factories or inventing gunpowder of different sorts, explosives. So it gets this kind of series of informal, fairly antisocial uses associated with it that have left a legacy of pollution.
While the river's history might cause various challenges, new developments and growing attention raise awareness about the difficulties of the area. This creates opportunities to deal with the deficient connectivity, industrial pollution and the climate crisis. Several local initiatives such as Cody Dock and Trinity Buoy Wharf are actively working in some of those issues, using the opportunities and giving local people the chance to shape the regeneration of the area.
Almost everything we do at Cody Dock is about, raising the profile of the river, getting people more reconnected with it. It was closed for a long time to this part of Newham, and lots of people weren't aware that it was here. the local schools that were possibly even named after it. And so bringing them down and getting them to form a relationship with the river is really important. But also now we're starting to go into the river and we're starting to remove some of that historic pollution and also modern pollution that's sort of cluttering up a really important habitats along here. But also learning about what's living in it is really sort of a key project.
I think one of the largest challenges for the lower tidal Lee, which we're based on, is managing its transition from former brownfield sites, previously very industrial, to an area that is going to host over 55,000 new homes, new schools, a new city. And it's a river that people have had their backs turned to for a long time. We're now at the centre of East London's new universe. We're a pivotal player within the strategic plan for opening up the pedestrian access. We're the place that all the local developers come to if they want the feel-good shots. I think the biggest challenge is reminding people that actually communities play a pivotal role, or can play a pivotal role, in transforming their area, and to hope that they stay involved as partners. Sort of hidden elements to the Lee is its fantastic heritage. We provide opportunities not just with habitat restoration and the citizen science, but also the restoration of Cody Dock. So we're turning it back into a working dock. We're building a new visitors centre with a venue and a cafe and a bar and a charity shop. We're building moorings for residential moorings, because there's a squeeze on moorings in East London. It's the studio spaces that I already mentioned, but also establishing Cody Dock as a centre for studying ecology. As people have had more time in their lives and maybe been reprioritising what's important, visitor numbers have gone up so significantly to Cody Dock that gives us real confidence that, you know, this river is very important to the future development of the area.
The pandemic has significantly increased the activity along the River Lee, benefiting Cody Dock and encouraging visitors to reconnect with nature. It has also enabled other initiatives like Trinity Buoy Wharf to promote their position in the area, providing work and social spaces for creatives.
Till now, till last June, there was no local population around here whatsoever. The housing schemes that you've seen developed around the Orchard Place, it's all new. Before that, basically this whole site was industrial site. Ordinarily, a site like this would be considered private, but you could lock it off and make sure people don't come in unless they have to. We took the view that this is part of London and really we should be as much open as possible. The thing about Trinity Buoy Wharf is it's a really, really interesting example of a model of regeneration that isn't normally done. And that model is where we have a long lease. We have a 124-year lease here. Our own landlord has a 125-year lease, and we pay them 25% of our rental income. And then they use that for arts activity in the area. Now that's a kind of internal market. It works really well because arts activity gets funded here. We said that we wouldn't be pressured into doing that. We'd actually take this development and nurture it over the years as a long-term project. For us, it's really, really important that things develop incrementally and without the huge pressures of borrowing enormous amounts of money to build buildings.
There's a few of us that are creatives from the local area. Maybe that's like Newham, some people from Redbridge, some people from Tower Hamlet. And I think having everyone in one space, everyone's able to kind of bounce ideas around off of each other. And like I said, because there's so many different things going on, there's music studios, photographers, fashion companies here. So I feel like there's kind of so many different areas in design. There's always someone maybe to kind of get some feedback from or something else to kind of get involved in.
It is critical that we engage in our local environment and help guide its development towards one that is more sustainable and inclusive. Learning from past mistakes and helping heal the wounds we have inflicted to the natural environment. We have an endless number of possibilities to help with those processes. One of the simplest ways to make an impact is through taking active part in local activities that help improve the area. It is our duty to show our engagement and optimism about our urban environment and its future.